The first strike didn't sound like a slap at all. It was more like the crack of a soaked flag snapping in the wind. For a brief second, my vision flashed white as though a light bulb had exploded inside my head. My cheek burned hot, then quickly turned cold, and the taste of metal filled my mouth. The scent of lemon floor cleaner hit my nose, and I noticed the way the glass fruit bowl on the table quivered. All I could think, absurdly, was, "Don't let it fall, it belonged to your mother." The second blow was a closed fist. I stumbled, the floor rushing up toward me. My hands scraped along the table's edge, nails catching uselessly on the wood. Around me, feet shifted, legs moved, faces blurred in the doorway. If you're hearing my story right now, don't just listen in silence. Hit like, subscribe, and share so more people understand what really goes on behind closed doors. Across the street, the tiny red light of a neighbor's porch camera blinked like an unblinking eye recording everything. "Get out." "It's 3 million, my son said." His voice was flat, like he was reading a label, his fingers yanking my hair so hard my scalp burned. Outside, someone asked, "Are they serious?" Someone else laughed, that high, ugly laugh people use when they think mocking will protect them. My throat locked. I couldn't scream. The rough runner in the hallway dug into my knees as he dragged me forward. I counted my heartbeat. 1, 2, 3. Like I could slow time if I just counted hard enough. The cold air outside hit my face harder than his wife had. The rosebush near the porch was brittle from the heat. She stood there in the doorway, arms folded, lipstick perfect, phone in hand, wearing a smug smile. A neighbor in a bathrobe clutched her dog like a baby, whispering, "Oh my God." "She won't leave," my son's wife announced to no one in particular, like the whole world was her witness. "She came here just to start trouble." My son yanked again, pain shooting through my scalp. I gripped his wrist, remembering how it once felt like the rope I'd used to pull him out of the pool when he was 5. In my head, I heard his little voice, "Mama, don't let go." And in that moment, I wanted to say, I never did. But my teeth were chattering. "Daniel," I said quietly, "stop dragging me." He didn't stop. He pulled me across the threshold like I was some old carpet he didn't want anymore. My knees hit the porch concrete. The front door gaped open behind us. The air smelled of cut grass, exhaust fumes, and someone else's laundry detergent. Across the street, 3 neighbors stood with phones out. One man in a baseball cap told someone named Teresa to record everything. "You heard him," my son's wife said, stepping forward with her chin high. "It's 3 million. You're not getting a cent. You're not staying here. You're not family. You're a problem." My eyes landed on the small pearl in her left ear, with a stray blonde hair clinging to it. I thought, flick it off, you're the one who notices these things. You're the one who buys stain remover and keeps spare light bulbs. "This is my house," I said. The steadiness of my voice surprised me. My son laughed, short, sharp, and mean. "Not anymore," he said. "You signed it." And there it was, the lie he needed. She smirked at the neighbors. "We offered her the guest room for a week, but she came here and started hitting me." Her eyes glittered as she touched a cheek with no mark. "Look what she did to me." The neighbor with the dog frowned. "She's bleeding," she said, looking at me. I touched my face. My fingertips came away red. "Go on," my son said, hauling my arm. "Go cry to your church friends. It's 3 million, and it's ours. Be happy we're keeping it in the family." "I am the family," I said softly. The wind rustled the leaves, and everything fell into a hush. I reached into my sweater pocket for my phone, my hands trembling. His wife stepped forward, her heel clicking, and slapped it from my grasp. It skidded across the porch and into the rosemary bush. "No calls," she said. "No cops. No drama. Please respect our privacy." She said privacy like it was some magical word that made her the grown-up in the room. I glanced inside. My framed photos were gone. A mirror now hung where Daniel's kindergarten pictures used to be. In its reflection, we looked like a portrait no one should have painted. "A son, wife, mother on her knees. Pick her up," the wife said, as though I were a piece of furniture. My son's hand went for my hair again. "Don't touch me like that," I said, my voice slicing through. He froze for a fraction of a second, and I saw it, the memory of me teaching him to tie his shoes. The night he had a fever and I sang the ABCs until morning. Then it was gone. He bent down again, but I made my decision. I didn't fight. I didn't beg. I used the air in my lungs to say exactly what I knew the 911 operator would need to hear first, and loud enough for the recording phones. "I'm 64, and I'm being assaulted at my own address." The neighbor in the bathrobe gasped. The man in the cap muttered, "Oh boy." His wife's eyes snapped toward the rosemary bush where my phone lay. She lunged for it, but the neighbor with the dog called out, "Honey, I already called." And her voice shook, but it carried like bells. Somewhere, a siren began, a small and high-pitched at first, then growing louder. The moment that wail of the siren grew louder, her expression shifted. Not frightened. Not apologetic. Calculating. "She's pretending," she said suddenly, her hand pressed against her stomach. "She hit me first. I'm pregnant." I stared at that lying hand and felt something coil tight and hot inside me. "Don't you dare," I told her. My son twitched, like my words had physically touched him. She hissed something low at him, but he didn't move. The siren drew closer, bringing with it that strange awareness emergencies have, the way people's backs straighten, the way neighbors pretend to look elsewhere while still watching everything. My knees ached. My head pounded. The warm concrete seeped through my skirt. A rosebush rustled beside me, and one thorn pricked my cafe sharp, clean, enough to keep my mind anchored. A car rolled past slowly, then sped up. The siren cut out. Blue and red washed over the houses like a tide. A cruiser pulled up to the curb, and another slowed right behind it. 2 doors opened. The first officer was tall, steady, with eyes that took in the whole scene in one sweep. His body cam light blinked red. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" he asked me, his voice calm, almost like a morning news anchor. Before I could answer, my son's wife rushed in. "Officer, thank God you're here," she said, hand still on her belly. "She came here yelling, hitting me. She refuses to leave. She's unstable." The officer didn't look at her first. His eyes went to my cheek, my knees, my tangled hair, then down to my son's hand still fisted in it. "Sir," he said quietly, "let go of her hair. Now." The words weren't loud, but they carried something that made my son release me instantly. Blood rushed back to my scalp, bringing pins and needles with it. The second officer crouched beside me. "What's your name?" she asked gently. "Evelyn," I said. "Evelyn what?" she asked. I told her. The first officer looked toward the open doorway. "Who lives here?" he asked. "We do," my son's wife answered smoothly. "My husband and I. This is our home." "She's been told not to return." The officer gave a short nod. "Dispatch," he spoke into his shoulder mic, "send a supervisor. Possible domestic with injury, multiple parties. Cameras on scene." Neighbor phones tilted toward us. The dog's tags jingled softly. The second officer's eyes were kind but professional. "Do you need medical?" she asked. I shook my head. "I want my purse," I said. "It has the deed." The wife laughed sharply. She thinks some prehistoric paper means anything. "We closed last month." She signed the transfer. I looked straight at my son. For a heartbeat, he looked like a lost 10-year-old again, but then she squeezed his arm, and his jaw locked. "She has dementia," the wife told the officer, just loud enough for everyone to hear. "No diagnosis," I shot back. "No doctor ever said that." I read every paper. There was no transfer. I revoked the power of attorney. I know about the loan you two tried to take out without me. I know about the forged signature. I filed a fraud alert last week. Her smile flickered like a faulty bulb. The first officer's expression didn't change, but his pen moved. "All right," he said. "We'll address the property issue later. Right now, we're here for an assault call." He shifted his stance so she couldn't see me directly. "Ma'am," he said to the neighbor in the bathrobe, "you said you were filming?" "Yes, officer," she said, her voice trembling a little. "From when the yelling started?" "Send that to our evidence portal," he said, offering her a card. She took it like it was something sacred. The second officer slipped on gloves and dabbed my cheek with a clean pad. It stung, but I swallowed the sound. The wife leaned toward my son, whispering urgently, "If she looks weak, they'll take her side. Say she hit me. Say she lost it. Cry if you have to." He looked at her like a drowning man eyeing a branch. "Sir," the first officer said to my son, "I'll need your ID. And just so you're clear, you can't put your hands in someone's hair. That's not how you make someone leave. And your wife putting hands on her face. Also not legal. Step over here, we're separating everyone." The wife moved, but before she stepped away, she leaned down to me. "You should have stayed quiet like always," she whispered. "Old women don't win." I looked at her pearl earring, remembering the day I bought pearls with my first diner paycheck, 6 months pregnant with Daniel, my feet aching but my heart proud. "Old mothers keep secrets," I whispered back, "but not crimes." She straightened, her smile empty. The second officer helped me up. My knees trembled, the world tilted, then leveled out again. "Do you have someone we can call?" she asked. "I have me," I said. "And I have paperwork." She nodded, like that answer made perfect sense. The tall officer stepped aside, speaking into his radio again. Within minutes, another vehicle pulled up, not a patrol car this time, but an unmarked sedan. a man in plain clothes stepped out, his badge clipped to his belt. He had the look of someone who'd been doing this a long time. Calm eyes, slow movements, no wasted words. Detective Moran, he introduced himself to me, before glancing toward my son and his wife. "Why don't we all take a breath?" he said evenly. "We're going to sort this out." The wife launched into her version before he could even ask. She barged in screaming, she said. "I'm pregnant, and she struck me. We've been trying to take care of her, but she's not well. She's been told to leave multiple times." The detective didn't interrupt her, but he also didn't write anything down. When she finished, he looked at me. "Ma'am, can you tell me what happened tonight, starting from when you arrived?" I took a breath, steadying my voice. "I came to speak to my son," I said. "We haven't been on good terms. His wife struck me. My son dragged me out by my hair. Neighbors witnessed it, and some recorded video. I want to press charges." The detective nodded once, as if confirming a thought. "And the property?" he asked. I pulled a folded envelope from my cardigan pocket. Inside were copies, a notarized day of my deed, my revocation of power of attorney, and a letter from my lawyer. "They've been trying to take the house," I said. "I filed a fraud report last week. There's an active investigation. They forged my signature. I have proof." For the first time all night, my son's face faltered. The wife's jaw tightened. The detective accepted the papers, glanced at the seals, and handed them to the tall officer. "Make copies for the file," he said quietly. "Sir," the officer addressed my son, "do you have any documentation to show ownership?" "She signed it over," my son said. "She didn't," I replied. My voice was low, but it carried. The detective's eyes flicked between us. "Until this is resolved in court, no one is making anyone leave tonight." "That's a civil matter," he said. "But the assault, that's criminal. And I've got multiple witnesses saying they saw you pull your mother by the hair and your wife strike her." The wife's voice shot up an octave. "She attacked me. I'm pregnant." The detective didn't raise his tone, but it cut sharper than hers. "And yet, you have no marks, no swelling, no redness," he said. "Meanwhile, her face is bleeding. Your pregnancy, if true, is not a shield against charges." My son took a step toward me, but the tall officer positioned himself between us. "That's enough," the officer said. The detective turned back to me. "Do you want to press charges against both?" "Yes," I said without hesitation. The wife's mouth dropped open. "You're really going to do this to your own son?" she demanded. "No," I said, meeting her eyes. "He did this to himself." The detective gave a signal, and the second officer stepped forward. "Ma'am," she said to the wife, "turn around. Hands behind your back." The wife shrieked something about injustice, but the click of the cuffs cut through it. My son just stood there, as if his body couldn't decide whether to move or collapse. "Sir," the tall officer said to him, "same for you. Turn around." When the cuffs closed on his wrists, I didn't feel triumph. I felt tired, bone deep tired, but also steady. The detective handed me a card. "This has my direct number," he said. "Tomorrow, go to your attorney with the case number. We'll need statements, copies of all your documents, and those neighbor videos." I nodded, clutching the card like it was the last piece of something unbroken. The wife was still shouting as they walked her to the cruiser. My son kept his head down. The neighbors began to drift back into their houses, murmuring to each other. The woman in the bathrobe touched my arm gently. "You're safe now," she said. "At least for tonight." Safe. It didn't feel like safety yet. But as the patrol cars pulled away, lights flashing against the quiet houses, I stood there on my porch and breathed. I thought of all the years I'd kept peace by swallowing words, by avoiding fights, by forgiving before apologies came. Tonight, I hadn't swallowed anything. And I wasn't sorry. The rosemary bush rustled in the breeze. Somewhere inside it, my phone was still waiting. I reached in, thorns scratching my fingers, and pulled it out. The screen lit up. I opened my contacts, scrolled to the name I needed, and pressed call. When the line picked up, I said the first thing that came to mind. "It's done," I told them. "And I'm not going back to being quiet." The voice on the other end of the line was warm, steady. "Evelyn? Are you safe?" "Yes," I said, though my knees still felt shaky. "I'm outside." "They're gone." "The police took them both." "I'm on my way," the voice replied. "Don't go back in the house alone." I hung up and stared at the open doorway. From here, the living room looked almost the same, furniture where it had always been, the curtains I'd sewn years ago still hanging in neat folds. But the framed pictures that used to smile from the mantel were gone, replaced by a mirror that caught me in its glass, hair mussed, cheek raw, eyes still bright. I stepped inside slowly. The air smelled different now, not like lemon cleaner, but like stale perfume and something faintly burned. The silence felt heavier without voices bouncing off the walls. On the coffee table, there was a wine glass, half full. Beside it, my old address book lay open, pages bent from careless fingers. I reached for it, smoothing the creases like I had with my son's school projects so many years ago. Names I hadn't read in decades leapt off the page, friends from church, my old bowling league, cousins I hadn't seen since weddings long past. I closed the book and set it under my arm. That was mine. It all was. Outside, headlights washed across the front lawn, and a familiar car pulled into the driveway. My friend, Margaret, stepped out before the engine even stopped. Her arms wrapped around me before I could say a word. "Oh, honey," she murmured into my hair. Her embrace was the first gentle thing I'd felt all night. "I didn't want to call you at this hour," I said. "You call me any hour," she told me. "I'll bring a flashlight and a frying pan if I have to." We both laughed, the sound a little jagged but real. She looked toward the street where the patrol cars had been. "They'll have to face it now," she said firmly. "I know," I said. And I did. We went inside together. She helped me pick up the scattered things, my phone charger, a sweater from the floor, the purse I'd been looking for. I found my keys exactly where I'd left them, not where they'd claimed I'd misplaced them. Margaret put the kettle on, because that's what women like us do in every crisis. We make tea, not because it fixes anything, but because it keeps our hands busy until our hearts stop racing. The whistle of the kettle was the only sound as I sat at the table. I ran my thumb over the worn wood grain, remembering the morning I'd bought it second-hand, refinished it in the backyard, and served my son his first birthday cake on it. The steam curled in the air, and Margaret set a cup in front of me. I've seen storms blow through this neighborhood, she said. But you've weathered worse than storms. I sipped the tea, the heat grounding me. She was right. Tonight wasn't an ending. It was the first night in years I'd spoken every word I needed to without swallowing any of them back. And I knew one thing with absolute clarity: I wasn't done. Not with the house. Not with the truth. Not with my voice. Silence only protects the wrong people. If someone tries to take your home, your dignity, or your voice, say stand up. Document everything. Tell your story. And never let fear decide for you. Your life, your truth, your rights, a broken bar are worth fighting for.